Fun. All right, we're live on our Zoom call. What's going on YouTube? One way or
Hey,
another, we're getting this lecture done today.
third time's a charm.
Ooh, all right. Are you on Instagram?
I'm working on it. You
Okay.
ready to go live?
Oh my gosh.
What a day in the world of technology. But we are so happy you are here.
Happy
All
day.
right, Instagram, hello. Good to see you guys. I am terribly sorry for our poor connection today, but hopefully we can get this done.
We're not trying to screw up, we promise.
Cordially invited Coach Rob to come join me
Come
on
on.
Live. We're going to see if we are able to make this happen. Happy Sunday, everybody. I know it's rainy where Coach Rob lives, but it is just a lovely day here with the break from the 100+ temps. Hello, Coach Rob. I see you.
I'm there. I requested. My sound cut out again, which I think is a bad sign. I'm not going to lie.
We'll see. I just accepted your request again. Luckily, it's just you and me on the live right now.
Yeah, right? It's just like,
no one's sitting here rooting for you except for me.
We're trying.
Oh, unable to join.
I got nothing. We've reset and done all the things.
Yeah. Well, would you like to continue with our Zoom chat?
The problem is I'm not going to be able to hear you. Well, I guess I mean, can Instagram hear me through your speaker?
I don't know how the quality is right now.
Right. That's the only concern I have.
I was just thinking we do it on here and then we post it if we wanted.
That's fair. I'm good with it.
Okay. Do you want to restart the Zoom recording one more time?
No, I think we just go with it. I think this will be our fun opening outtake, and we just go with it.
Perfect.
Because we're not far in, time-wise.
Ending now, discarding video. All right.
Well, folks, we tried. We tried really, really, really hard.
Instagram is no friend of ours today.
Grumpy with us today.
Oh,
but
yes, I'm gonna go talk to Coach Rob now, okay? In a minute. I'll be out in a second. Bye.
See, we're prepared for everything.
Prepared for everything. I think Jason left without them. So.
Oops. This will be a fun episode all the way across the board.
Real talk. What is this? Episode 5?
Episode 5.
I heard Mercury was in retrograde as of today.
That's definitely contributing or something.
Okay.
Anyway.
Today, our topic is coping with change, coping with stress, coping with an ever-changing schedule and circumstances. So, I mean, it's only fitting that this is how our beginning of our talk would go today, I think.
Absolutely. I feel like this is the perfect segue into our topic today.
Yeah, this feels right. This feels right.
Oh my gosh.
Take it away, Coach Rob.
Alrighty, so we're talking about coping. All right, so the first thing I want to do is start with a nice umbrella topic today, which is just change is inevitable. It's out of our control. So first thing and foremost, recognize that and be okay with it. All right, so the way I translate it for my clients a lot is just take a breath. Cool. That was a good moment. So that's great. You know, like life is going to get in the way. All right. I say this all the time. It's why I have a job. It's why I do what I do, is because life is great at getting in the way. You have a plan. You're ready to roll. You got all this stuff. You got all your gear, blah, 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 blah. And then life gets in the way. Right. So bottom line is like, if you anticipate change in the first place, you're not going to be disappointed. Like, I wouldn't say go as far as pessimism, but at the same time, it's just roll with it. All right.
I love a good low bar. I love setting a good low bar where it's like everything's a surprise and delight from there.
Yep. Right. It's so true though.
Yeah.
It's so true.
Well, awesome. Well, so in terms of like ways that you take that pause to slow down, recognize when things are out of your control, what are some of your favorite tools to like help you with that? Because I know not everybody listening or watching is like an expert on meditation or necessarily like the most mindful person either. Like I definitely get caught up in my feelings sometimes and caught up in what's going on. So what would you recommend for like a beginner or someone who wants to dive a little deeper into their like mindfulness practice?
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, luckily with technology on our side, we have so many opportunities to kind of, try this out on our own for the first time. I was fortunate in that in college, I got my first experiences with meditation and Zen practice and all that. And yeah, it's almost like it's been around for thousands of years and it keeps working. So
Amazing.
weird. It's like almost like we should go with it. But yeah, I would say app wise, like I'm a big Headspace fan personally. Calm is out
Love
there.
Andy
There's
always.
others, right? There's others doing the same thing. If you don't have the app, the other thing I like to point out is that I actually just rediscovered earlier this year on Netflix that Headspace has their own series of like breathing exercises you can do via your TV, right?
That's
And so just like,
awesome.
yeah, sit on your couch, breathe, like practice breathing on your couch. So
That is
if you've never done it before, I know it's intimidating. And if you're just starting, you might not be into it yet. Like it's just like, why am I spending this time just sitting quietly and breathing? And yeah, but it's another thing where just the more you practice, the more you get comfortable with it, and then you start to really see some huge benefits. And over time, you might start just by sitting for 1 minute, which is great. Maybe 3 minutes, which is great. And then over time, maybe you're doing like 20 minutes or longer. And it's just one of those again opportunities that if you need to just take a step back from everything and remind yourself what you are and aren't in control of in that moment, it's really valuable tool to say the least.
that's awesome. And I personally love the Calm app because in addition to having adult um, practices, stories, all that, they also have a kids section too. So for example, like we just were on a 9 hour car ride. Everybody was kind of getting drowsy and Sage was like, hey, can you put on a quiet story? That's what we call them, the quiet stories. Because sometimes if they're really, really good, I let them listen to one in bed, like as they're falling asleep. And they have amazing sleep stories for kids, but also just cool meditations that are geared towards kids. So they're more accessible. And they're pretty fun too. So
There you go. Right. So yeah, take advantage of all the various tools out there, right? The more tools in the toolbox, the more things you can build. Easy
yeah,
peasy.
awesome.
All right.
So yeah, let's move
Hero
on to number
dose.
two.
All right. Next, create a sustainable routine. Okay. I like to give the advice of following a checklist, whether it's something you do every single day, or you keep one longer for the week, or you have multiple checklists that you use for various lengths of time, whatever it might be. What I like about it is you're able to give yourself credit as you're working through it, right? Just that sensation of doing that or whatever motion you might make to check off that box, right? It's just like, oh yeah, cool. Like I'm actually making a movement that shows my success in seeking out and getting this task done. So keep it in sight through the day. All right. My personal one is a whiteboard sitting in the middle of my living room. I walk past it countless times. And I use bright red marker to cross stuff off or put circles for things that I need to do. And, that's just the way I like to do it. But I would say overall, what I'm creating is a sustainable routine. I know what I'm aiming to do every day. I know what I'm aiming to do, a couple times during the week. And then I might have something like this where it's like, okay, this is on my Sunday to-do list. Like Coach Natalie and I are going to get on the phone an hour beforehand, and we're going to make sure we're all ready to rock and roll. And, and then we show up and we're all prepared for Instagram to not work. Right. So it's all good. Yeah. This is the perfect comparison, right? For, hey, something didn't go to our plan. Hey, look, we're still getting it done just a little bit differently than what we had anticipated. I'm
Yeah.
not too stressed about it. Coach, you feeling okay?
I have see, I'm a highlighter person myself, so I have taken my green highlighter and gone over it in my mind anyway. Just
There you
let
go.
it be the bridge.
Easy peasy.
So typically I'm not a list person. Like if I have a grocery list, great. Checklist, checklist, checklist. If I have like a super busy day where it's like extenuating circumstances, extra things beyond my like normal routine need to get done, I'll make a list to check off. But I'm super guilty of just like if I haven't done anything on the list, but I want to feel productive, I will write something that I have done on the bottom and check it off just to feel good about having checked something off. That's like my little dirty secret that now everybody knows. But
Okay. It counts.
what about people who aren't list people? Like what other tools can they use to get the job done?
Sure. I think the easiest one is just scheduling things on your calendar, right? Like treat it as if you had a work task that you were assigned by your supervisor.
Yeah.
It needs to get done. It's going on the calendar.
Yep.
It's gonna be there, whether you set reminders or what have you.
It's a meeting with yourself, right? Like,
Right. You should
yeah.
prioritize yourself in these
Right.
ways. Like that really shouldn't be unexpected with what you and I talk about, right? It's just like
Yeah.
take care of yourself and then you can take care of everything else because you're well taken care of, right? And then of course, if you're not like a paperless person, again, going back like we talked about number one, there's so many apps. I mean, there's so many accountability apps and tracking apps. One I like to use is Alarmed because you can like literally set it to nag you at whatever interval you want. It's just like, hey, have you done the thing yet? Did you do it?
A
It's like,
virtual poke.
okay, I'm doing it. Right? But that's
But
sometimes what we need is just something to poke and prod at us to say, like, hey, use your time efficiently. All right. Don't look back on the day going like, oh, I wish I had spent that hour doing so and so. It's just a
keep
matter of
reminding
like, yeah,
yourself.
right. What can we use to take advantage of each and every moment we get because we're not going to get too many of them.
Right. Oh, that really hits home that like your like moments, are just fluttering away as we go by just in the finality of life, but also just in terms of like feeling wasteful and conserving, your time for important things. I think that one, you know, speaks to me on a very deep
Right.
level.
Right, absolutely. And I would say actually that's a perfect segue into number three, right? Is like, oh my God, there's so many things and there's so little time. Like, what do I focus on? All right. Three, keep it basic, super basic. All right. One, are you breathing? Good start. Are you hydrated? Drinking water? Okay, cool. Are you eating your food? Are you getting fueled up? Wonderful. And are you getting enough sleep and rest and recovery in order to make sure you're prepared to do the same thing tomorrow? That's a pretty good checklist right there, right?
Yeah,
Like the big
right.
four is if you're getting that stuff done, like, yeah, that's a pretty good starting point. And then as you get more comfortable with the routine, the more regular it becomes, you're going to start noticing gaps, right? And that's why I point out a lot with my clients. It's just like, let me not create a plan for you until we know what it is we need to plan for. You might already have these things figured out, and me going over it again would just be literally a waste of time. So let's get in the routine first, and then we're going to start modifying it based on the experience that you're having.
Yeah, because like for example, the movement portion that we always talk about as like make it part of your day is missing from that big four, right? But you do have to have the big four set up as a foundation for those things. Um, Something that Rob and I talked about this week was we were like digging through our memories, like AP psychology in high school or basic psychology courses in our college experience, and I was like, what was that guy's name with the pyramid? I'm like, oh yeah, Maslow's hierarchy of needs, right? So getting your pyramid set up, foundation laid for all of your like physical needs before you start transcending those needs to the more like emotional kind of ethereal ones we think about, like movement ties into that, right? Like, and can you talk a little bit more about that, Rob?
Yeah, and I wish I had remembered to keep that pyramid pulled up. But hey, this is part of the plan not being exactly 100%. What are you going to do? But yeah, we
Yeah.
looked at it as we were planning, and it was just like, oh my gosh, as we look at everything as we build up this pyramid, like movement is going to incorporate itself one way or another, right? Like whether it just be, as part of your routine of that basic survival at the bottom, all the way up to that self actualization of like having confidence and belief that you can do things and that you look good and you feel good and you have energy.
Goals and crushing them, yeah.
Right. And just literally every layer in between that as well. Like, hey, those nerds out there who want to check out Maslow's pyramid, yeah, go do that because you'll realize, like, oh, yeah, physical exercise is. So I think if anything, we wrap it nicely together with a big five, right? Breathe, hydrate, eat, sleep, and move. Don't forget move.
Yeah.
We love move. All right.
Yeah.
But yeah,
And
again,
five is our theme, like let's be
we're good
honest.
at it. We're really good at fives, right? So yeah, but bottom line is, in terms of our priorities, is like keep it super simple, focus on that stuff, and just create that general consistency that we're looking for. Every day you should be checking off the same boxes that we just discussed, in addition to all the other ones that you need to for your family life and your professional life and your social life, right? Those are the things that are going to follow up and fill in all those gaps.
100%.
Easy peasy. All
Yeah.
right. Speaking of gaps, all right, I think we've already covered it briefly, but as I like to say, number four, time is broken. time, especially in the COVID era of things, time is a shattered concept. So I say focus on moments. All right. And I will absolutely admit that I've stolen this from a stand-up comedian that I love watching, but I won't say who. All right. Life is in moments.
Is he canceled? Is that why?
No. Oh God, no. Too funny to be canceled, in my opinion. But the bottom line is we're talking about moments. All right. Is time like, oh, I'm gonna go ahead and plan 2 hours to get a workout done and then do all this other stuff around the house. It's like and then a child walks in the room and everything is for naught, right? Yeah, there you go, coach. Or a dog walks in the room on my side, right? Or something falls over and that needs to be fixed. Or right, again, what was number one? Life is going to happen and get in the way. So focus on moments. All right. And what I mean by that is basically learn to recognize when you're in one and then take advantage of it. Right. You might just like have that brief clarity, explosion in your brain of just like, I'm not taking care of anyone else right now. I have a few moments to myself. What can I do? And then go through like that
yeah.
top five.
Yeah. No, I like the kind of view of like time as a gift, right? Like opportunities are presents to you. That's why they call it the present, right? Like it is just one of those things. Like if you kind of work on that practice of meditation and mindfulness, like you're going to learn a lot about yourself and about gratitude too, right? Like, and I think that all ties into that. Like, who cares what the clock says, right? Like if you're in here in your moment now and you're just being thankful for that opportunity and doing the most with it that you can, like that just is a compounding snowball, right?
Yeah. And that's the thing, tracking time is a human problem. Like, let's not forget that. It's not a biological issue, other than if we're looking at like seasonal rhythms and like hibernation of, species and the biology side of things. But bottom line is like we made clocks. And that means that we created that stress that we get from trying to stick to a schedule. So the bottom line is just, recognize your surroundings, especially right now, right? Like we're transitioning out of summer. All right. All this extra sunshine, right? We got all these bright hours of the day. The sun comes up early, it goes down late, right? Super duper easy and it's warm. So we have all this energy to go outside and get stuff done. Right. But now we're transitioning, right? Now it's turning darker. Now it's turning cooler. All right. I happen to personally love it. Fall happens to be my personal favorite season, right? But bottom line is just the hours that we have of daylight are going to be fewer and fewer. And bottom line is like we are biological creatures. Like our brains are going, oh, it's getting darker, it's time to sleep. Like that is
that's the actual clock that makes up your internal clock, right? Like
that's the real one. Yeah, the one that makes bears go into caves in November.
That old thing.
They're not looking up at their Timex on the wall, going like, "Ah, oh, look at that. Yep, time to get to sleep. All right, we'll see you in the springtime." Like, no, like it's a rhythm. It's the same in humans too, and we just need to recognize that. So as the days are getting shorter, as time is getting limited, first and foremost, just recognize it and give yourself permission. Going back to number one, all right, don't get down on yourself because there's fewer hours. You have no control over that, so don't feel bad about it. But two is just learn to recognize the moments more in the process. And then even as we're getting into winter time, you're going to notice that there's still plenty of opportunity to take advantage of through the day, through the week, through the month in order to get the things done that you need to.
Move your workouts indoors. Move your indoor chores to the evenings rather than the middle of the day when you'd rather be outside playing with your kids or doing your workout outdoors or going for a run or something like that. Yeah, just like that flexibility and that, like you said, taking advantage of the time you do have to make it count. Like that's where the mindset shift is rather than saying like, oh,
yep, exactly.
Can't do what I wanted to do. Yeah.
Right. And that's the whole thing is just recognize it.
How do we get that?
Right. All right. So yeah, and then lastly, we want to tie it up with our number 5, which is don't do it alone. All right. And I feel like again, this is kind of a repeat of an overall theme, but I think it needs repeating, being that, well, it's not done enough. Bottom line is you are surrounded by people who are in your corner and want you to succeed. So use those people efficiently, right? So first and foremost, communication is going to be the number one thing that I think, needs to be the focal point. So whether it's with your partner, with your kids, with your coworkers, with your friends, with your, family, above and below you, whoever, right? Just communicate your needs. All right. Like if you need to get something done and you have limited time in that day, but you have a partner who can help you out, cool. Like recruit that person in, and then now you have some more moments to take advantage of, right?
And make sure you ask that person what they need too, right? Like it goes both ways.
Yes, this is
Yeah.
not a one-way street, as the expression
Yeah.
goes, right? Like, yeah, and golden rule it, right? Treat others like you want to be treated. Hey, you want some free time? Cool. Well, there's going to be probably an opportunity in the future for you to pay that favor back, right? And as long as we're working with each other, again, like we're just going to achieve so much more. Is just the bottom line. We know this as a society. There's a reason it's a society. We need other people in order to find our way through. All right, you're not reading a ton of stories of the hermit who lived all by himself in
The
the woods.
lone wolf coming out on top.
Right. Like if anything in this conversation, I'm definitely that guy. But I gotta tell you, I talk to my clients a lot. I talk to Coach Natalie, talk to my family, I talk to my friends. Yeah, like I'm certainly not sitting here alone in the dark ages, just brewing by a fire. Like, that's definitely not the overall theme, right? But that's the thing, right? Oh, and also let's not forget, like I'm working, my clients are my connections, and I hope to be that for them, obviously, because that's what they pay me for. Is just like, yeah, if you have someone you're literally like who's on your payroll, as I like to say, to keep you accountable and reach out to when you run into stuff like this, like you're gonna have a much higher rate of success. That's just
Yeah.
the truth of it.
And I think when you're in a sticking point, like where you're like, I don't know where to go from here. I had the whole summer of freedom and play and, endless night days, that turned into fun nights. It's like, yeah, now I'm stuck back in the doldrums of fall, if you will. Like that's where Coach Rob comes in. And that's what I love about his like kind of it's not removed programming, but like because he's virtual coaching you, like he's like kind of this omniscient over over like I don't know, overhanging, presence where it's like you can just like reach out when you need to. It doesn't have to be on the schedule for like, oh, okay, one more thing to add to my calendar, right? Like he's there when you need him and setting you up for tools to help you when he can't be, there in a heartbeat. But yeah, I love that about the virtual coaching, the fact that even in the shorter days, like you're not missing training sessions with you because there's less hours. Like you don't have to change your schedule for for a changing world as it is. But also if you personally, the client, have something that comes up that's different, like Rob is so adaptable and he'll just put you in where you need to be and like can really work with you for that too. So
Yeah. Like I like to say what I'm doing now versus what I was doing working in gyms is just a night and day difference, because yeah, you don't have to reserve me for 30 minutes or an hour at a place that's not your house that you hope to get to without traffic, and you hope your kid doesn't get sick that day, and you hope that the weather isn't nasty. No, again, let's go back to number one. Like life is going to get in the way. When it does, inevitably, are you prepared for it? Well, that's a lot of what I do is discussions where we are preparing ourselves for those inevitabilities. And sometimes we get through and nothing happened. And it was one of those like, well, at least we had a backup plan, just in case. I had a client literally last week who texted me out of the blue just saying like, I'm having a really rough time right now. Like things are not going to plan. We got on the phone less than 24 hours later. We talked it out. And guess what? She's having a really good weekend. She's looking forward to this upcoming week. It's just a matter of, yeah, sometimes you just need to have that person in your corner who's able to change your perspective up a little bit, get you out of your own head, right? You use the word stuck, which is one of my favorite words to use. I know I have been stuck myself in various avenues of life. I am certainly not free of all of that as a coach. I am too a human being. Imagine that.
you have not achieved nirvana yet, Rob. That's so weird.
I'm working on it, just one
I
day at a
know.
time, just sending it out. But yeah, not there, not there. So, but that's the thing, is new things are intimidating. Asking for help is just one of these things that I think in society we've kind of told ourselves is weak. And I hate that, being
Oh,
that like
no.
perfect example. Today's NFL Sunday. It's the first NFL day of the year. For those of you cheering, I'm a Giants fan, so I'll probably be crying like I am on most weekends. But the bottom line is, like, do you think those guys are out there by themselves? Like, I bring this up all the time. Do you think any athlete you watch on TV is there by themselves because they had the work ethic to just do it and grind? Like, no, they do have a crazy ass work ethic where they are grinding and probably working harder than most people you've met in your life. But if you don't think that there's literally a slew of coaches on the sideline and another group of coaches up in the box, and that's in addition to any of the coaches who are, yeah, like why would anyone not take the opportunity to work with someone who helps them get better, especially when you see the people who are the greatest at it getting help from more people?
Yeah, totally.
Right?
Yeah, and then not to mention all the behind the scenes people that have the unsung
Nutritionists,
yeah.
psychologists, psychiatrists,
equipment guys, like yeah, all the things.
The field maintenance to keep them from rolling an ankle. You know what I mean? Like, there's so many things. And it's just like, yeah, human beings need help. Right. So I think to tie a bow on all this, right? We were talking about coping, dealing with all this. Its bottom line is just be a human, recognize what's in your power. Don't get down on yourself when things get in the way, and don't feel bad about reaching out for help when they do.
Yeah, and focus on the oxygen mask principle, right? Of helping yourself first before you help the person next to you, because otherwise you're useless, right? So
absolutely,
or you're going to burn out really fast if you try it.
No one likes a good burnout, especially not me.
Yeah, whew, telling me. Well,
all right, that's our top 5.
Yeah, thanks, Coach Rob.
You got it. We got 5 minutes left on my timer, so let's get through our game.
Awesome.
All right. So last time we went through injury history.
Injury edition.
Coach, you want to read off the top 3?
I got to hear all the backstories.
Do you want to read off the top 3, and I will respond accordingly?
All right. Let's see. I'm pulling it up from last week. Number 1, Coach Rob, did you sustain a head injury from skiing backwards off a trail and into a tree?
Nope, that was a lie. I watched a friend do that, though. I was the first attending friend, if you will, as I watched a buddy of mine. We were in middle school, decided to show off the last ski run of the day at Jack Frost Big Boulder, and he went off the trail, smacked the back of his head on a tree, was bleeding through his hat by the time his brother and I got down to help him, and we spent the rest of the evening at the emergency room. It was a good time.
Glad it wasn't you. Glad
it wasn't me. That one was the lie. I have broken my wrist falling off a moving car. My girlfriend in high school played tennis, so her mom would go to matches and I would meet up with them after school. I was standing on the running board of her really big SUV, and she thought it would be funny to start driving. I thought it would be a good idea to jump off, and I landed on my outstretched wrist. It was a foosh injury, and I broke my wrist literally hours before playing in a soccer game, and had to basically just wrap it in a nice bandage for the soccer game.
Tell me that part.
Had to wrap it in a nice bandage for the soccer game, and then went to the orthopedist after that. So good times.
Lovely.
And
Lovely.
then 3.
So shattering teeth on a basketball rim. Tell us about that.
Right here. My brother was in preschool, so there was basically a rim that came out of a tire on the ground, so it was only about 3 feet tall. And as I was going up to shoot, a kid ran into it and pushed it, and I went straight into my teeth. And I looked down and saw shards of tooth in my hand. Nice. I was in 3rd grade. I was very upset. There was a lot of crying.
We're thrilled, I'm sure.
My orthodontist, when I was in high school, filed these down a little bit for me, so they're not nearly as noticeable. So
old Hermione Granger.
Good old Hermione Granger over here. It's okay. Things will turn out okay.
Okay, so this week we've got 2 more truths and a lie from him. I'm gonna read them, so don't give them away.
Okay, deal.
All right.
I'll do this. So I'll make sure I don't give away.
Did Rob play 2 varsity sports in high school? Being recruited to play collegiate lacrosse following those stints in high school. Did he learn how to golf in college, and is he a scratch golfer? And the third one is, has he completed multiple endurance races, including Tough Mudders? We know from before he hasn't done an Ironman, so don't let him fool you on that one. This one says Tough Mudders. So, you
What
guys,
could it be?
play along with us, and we will see you for the next episode. We reveal the answer. And if you guys also have more, things that you'd like to have us talk about, topics of discussion, put them down in the comments on YouTube. We'll post this to Instagram. Instagram folks, DM us with the things you want to hear about as well. Yeah. Anything else, Rob?
No, always a pleasure to be here with you. I look
Yes.
forward to our next meeting. And yeah, don't be shy about telling us what you want to hear, because we definitely go back and forth. And our prep meeting is going like, oh man, I really, really hope people get behind this topic today. So do not be shy. We are here to
Wow.
serve you.
All of you. All right, guys, have a wonderful rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next time.
Until the next time, see ya.